Hey guys, welcome back to QZ Stories. Today, I've got a wild story for you. It's about how an entitled HOA tried to kick me out of my own mountain cabin. Yeah, my own cabin. But what they didn't know was, I was the one who built the road they all drive on. Stick around, because this story is full of drama, revenge, and a twist that left the entire neighborhood speechless. I always dreamed of owning a little place in the mountains, somewhere quiet, far away from traffic, noise, and the stress of city life. After years of saving, searching, and sacrificing, I finally found it. A small piece of land tucked on the hillside with the most incredible view you could imagine. The first time I stood there, the sun was setting over the valley. The sky was painted in orange and purple, and the wind carried the smell of pine trees. I thought to myself, this is it. This is where I belong. But of course, dreams come with challenges. There was no proper road leading up to my land. Just a rough trail that even a truck would struggle to climb. Most people would have given up, but not me. I rolled up my sleeves, hired a small crew, and got to work. Week after week, we cleared rocks, leveled the ground, and laid gravel. It was hard work. Muddy boots, sweaty days, long nights, but slowly, that rough trail turned into a real road. And here's the crazy part. The road didn't just help me. Connected several properties nearby. Suddenly, neighbors could drive up easily. Delivery trucks started using it. Even the fire department said it made emergencies safer. Everyone benefited from it. I thought I was doing something good for the community. I thought people would appreciate the effort. But I was wrong. Dead wrong. A few months later, an HOA formed in the neighborhood. First, I didn't care. Honestly, I thought it would be a good thing, trash collection, safety patrols, maybe some streetlights. But then the letters started. Bold, official-looking envelopes. Inside were violation notices. One said, unauthorized construction. You built a road without HOA approval. Fine, $500. Another said, the road is now HOA property. You must pay monthly dues to continue using it. I laughed at first. I mean, come on, it was my money, my time, my sweat. How could they fine me for building something that helped everyone? But then came the visit. One morning, the HOA president herself, a woman named Linda, marched up to my driveway with two board members. She had that look, the kind of person who lives for power. She pointed her finger right at me and said, "You can't use this cabin anymore. The road belongs to the HOA now. Pay your dues or we'll lock you out." I stood there in disbelief. Was she serious? Question for you guys. What would you do if someone tried to take credit and control over something you built with your own hands? Let me know in the comments. I tried to stay calm. I told Linda, listen, I built this road with my money, with my effort. It doesn't belong to you. But she smirked and waved a folder in my face. No, you built it on community land, which means it's ours now. Rules are rules. She even threatened to put a gate at the entrance, blocking me from reaching my own cabin unless I paid HOA fees. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about community. This was about control, about power. Word spread fast. Some neighbors sided with the HOA, afraid of fines. Others whispered support but were too scared to speak up. Suddenly, I felt like an outsider in the very place I had helped make better. At night, I lay awake thinking, did I make a mistake building here? Should I just give up? But every time I thought about all the hours I worked on that road, all the cuts and bruises, all the money I poured in, I knew I couldn't let them win. This wasn't just about a road anymore. It was about respect. Instead of yelling back or fighting in the street, I decided to fight smart. I went into my garage, dug through old boxes, and pulled out a thick binder. Inside were all my documents, the land deed, the construction permits, the receipts. Everything was signed, stamped, and official. At the next HOA meeting, the room was packed. Linda sat at the front, looking smug, ready to embarrass me. But before she could even start, I stood up and laid the binder on the table. This road, I said loudly, holding up the papers. It's not HOA property. It's a private easement, registered under my name. which means every car driving here is driving on my road. The room went silent. You could hear a pin drop. I kept going. And here's the kicker. If I wanted, I could charge all of you for using it. Every single day. Gasps filled the room. Some people's jaws literally dropped. Linda's face turned bright red. She tried to interrupt, but the documents spoke louder than her words. That was the turning point. The moment the entire HOA realized they had messed with the wrong person. Of course, the HOA didn't give up easily. They threatened lawsuits. They spread rumors about me, saying I was greedy and selfish. But none of it mattered. Lawyers reviewed the paperwork, and every single one confirmed the same truth. I owned the road, legally and completely. That's when the neighbors started changing their tune. The same people who ignored me now came knocking on my cabin door. They brought cakes, bottles of wine, even fruit baskets, trying to get back on my good side. It was almost funny watching them flip sides so quickly. But Linda, oh no, she wasn't done. One afternoon, she showed up at my cabin, shouting loud enough for everyone to hear. "You think you're better than us?" she screamed. "You'll regret this." I didn't even raise my voice. I just looked her in the eye and said, "No, Linda, I just know my rights. And you're not going to bully me." The crowd that had gathered actually clapped. That was the last time Linda ever confronted me. In the end, the HOA backed down. The fines disappeared. The threats stopped. I decided not to charge anyone for the road, even though I legally could. Why? Because that was never my goal. I didn't build it for power or money. I built it to make life easier, for myself and for everyone else. But one thing was clear now. Nobody would ever try to take it away from me again. These days, when I sit on my porch with a cup of coffee, I watch cars drive by on the very road they once tried to steal. I see the embarrassed looks, the nods of respect, even the smiles from neighbors who now know the truth. And every time I see Linda's house, well, let's just say the sight makes me chuckle. Because deep down, everyone remembers the day the HOA tried to take me down and failed miserably. And that's the story, guys. The HOA thought they could bully me, but in the end, they lost everything because I stood my ground. So tell me, have you ever had to deal with unfair rules or power-hungry people like this? Share your stories in the comments below. And don't forget, subscribe for more crazy HOA stories just like this one. Until next time, stay strong, stand tall, and don't let anyone take away what's yours.